What's up, friends? And everyone else, viewers? You're all friends.
Y'all.
I'm Christian. That's Nate.
Hey,
Whichever way I'm pointing. Now, see, I just do both. That way I
okay.
don't get it wrong.
Whatever.
Whatever.
Whatever makes you
Hey,
feel better.
look, we're back with episode 6 of Fellow Travelers with our review
hmm
episode.
Yep, we got 2 more
We
episodes
had a
left.
lot to say
We did.
in the reaction episode. Now we're here to review. Um, All right, start us off, Nate. What do you think about? Oh, I guess let's just back up. So, what actually happened in the episode? So we come to. It looks like there's a time jump in our. I'm gonna say in the current
Yeah. hmm
timeline, right? So the current timeline was kind of I think in the 60s. We
hmm
jumped. It seems like maybe 12 years or so,
hmm
seemingly at least, to the
Yeah.
future. Hawk's got 2 kids. He's
hmm
got seemingly at least a tween, if not teenage son.
hmm
So that's happened.
Yeah.
Um, Tim is in seminary, so he's not
Right.
a
So
priest.
he went to war, or he went to the army or
Right.
whatever, came back, and
Yes.
now he's in the or and then he wasn't, or now he's in the seminary. Yeah,
Yes.
doing
Seminary,
some crazy
also
stuff.
seemingly some kind of I'm gonna say, I don't know, extremist,
Yeah.
revolutionary type. So
hmm
they steal draft cards and burn them, and he's now hunted by the FBI.
Well, yeah. Then he got
Um,
imprisoned
yeah.
or taken to jail or whatever.
Marcus is seemingly still, I guess, still writing, seemingly still be working somehow in journalism.
hmm
Frankie is moving to San Francisco to
Yes.
pursue a degree in social work to kind of be
Nice.
able to help others like himself
hmm
with his perspective, right? So, hey,
Yeah.
I'm gonna help the people that are like me get this training and I can really kind of be a better impact. So, he's doing that.
hmm
At least right now, it seems like Marcus is not necessarily ready to move to San Francisco. Although we see in the
hmm
future he actually does, but he's not
Right.
there yet, and they're
hmm
not seemingly aren't together at the moment.
Yeah.
It seems. As
hmm
far as McCarthy and Roy
Yeah.
Cohn and
That's my big issue.
the other
I actually
guy.
McCarthy. I'm not really concerned about him, but Cone and what's the other guy's name?
Good
I
question.
forgot. We had it with, anyways. Like, I want to know what
Yeah.
happened with them. Like,
Right.
we'll probably know next episode, but like that
Yes.
was part of my intrigue.
Yeah. I'll be curious if they just like just ended that whole like phase of the show. Like, is it
Right.
over?
hmm
Or do we just move forward in time a few years temporarily? I'm
Right.
not
I don't
sure.
know.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
not sure how it's structured to know, like, do they plan to go back or is that done? And we
Yeah.
just have to just fill in with our mind.
Yeah.
I
I
don't
don't
know.
know either. But this episode
Yeah.
had me feeling some kind of way though, because I felt bad for everyone involved. I did.
I felt the
Uh,
exact opposite.
yeah, I would assume but
You
the reason
reap
why I
what
felt,
you sow.
but
But
the
tell
reason why
us.
I felt bad is because, to me, these don't seem like people who are. These seem like people who are making wrong choices due to their en- due to their environment. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like if they had the opportunity to make what we now know as the right choice, they would have made it. Like, I feel like these people are have been by society and whatever else, kind of put in, bad parenting and all this other stuff, pushed into a situation that make they had to make it work, right? You always have to make it work. But they didn't have the right tools to make it work. So they're building basically the entire house with a hammer, you know, um, where other tools existed and they kind of weren't introduced to it. And like, what I recognize is that we're here in the decade, in the generation that we're at. We know now that the things we were even talking about, that the things that were done back in the day we shouldn't have been doing. Like, the jokes that we would make, we shouldn't have been making. Um, Stuff like that. But and so in their case, it's the same thing. They didn't have the enlightenment, I suppose, that we have now. So it's easy to be like, oh, man, you should have, whatever. But they came from a place where they didn't even know they had the choice to think for themselves. They didn't even know they had the choice to kind of to be. I mean, look at like Timmy or Tim or whatever his name is. What was his name? Skippy or Tim.
Hmm.
He's like struggling to literally find himself. You
Yeah,
know.
and I am the least upset with him,
Mm,
right? Like, the only choice that I'm really upset with him about
hmm.
is Hawk,
Yeah. Hmm.
right? Like everything else, I feel like, yeah, you're struggling trying to figure out your way, trying to figure out what you stand for. You're trying to be the priest, but you're burning the things, like,
Hmm.
whatever. Like, I'm not judging for you for those things,
Hmm.
but that you still, I'm
That
not
he's in love
saying
with him
I'm not
still.
saying you were wrong for having feelings for Hawk, right?
Right. Hmm.
What I'm saying is, I wish you thought better of yourself to deal with that situation differently. That's how
Well,
I
I mean, he
feel,
didn't
right? Like,
honestly really do anything in this episode. He did all that he could, it seemed, to kind of keep distance between him
yeah,
and
for
Hawk.
sure.
I
Yeah,
mean, he wasn't even there because he wanted to be. Hawk sent for him,
right. Yeah,
and brought him there.
agree.
So,
Which is why, like, I'm not like mad at him as far as this episode specifically is concerned. Like,
right, yeah,
overall, I'm like,
hmm,
look, leave Hawk alone, right? Like, this
yeah,
is just a bad decision for you, in my estimation, right? Like,
yeah,
this person is not good for you, right? Like,
yeah,
everything else he's going through, like, yes, you were very naive where you were working, but you left there, right? You went to
hmm,
is going to the military the best decision to do?
no,
No,
but
like, for that
I mean,
reason, but whatever, right? Like, you
yeah,
went to the priesthood to try to figure yourself out, figure out, is that for you?
hmm,
Whatever, like, you're doing things like, and it's mostly, most of what he's doing is affecting him specifically,
right,
which is
hmm,
why I I'm not super upset with him.
right,
I'm like, could you make better decisions? Maybe, but, like, who does? Like, no one's
right, yeah,
perfect, right? So
hmm,
again, I feel like the only thing that I think is obvious is that, look, Hawk isn't really. I don't know if Hawk is even emotionally able to give you what you deserve,
yeah,
right? And I wish you would see that and be able to be okay with, like, okay, he can't give it to me, so let me let him go,
yeah.
honestly. But you've got feelings, and I get it, and you can't quit him. So so
I mean, that's
whatever.
a concept for me because I'm very good at um, when I recognize, and I feel like other humans might have this ability, but when I recognize, like when I was back in the day when I was like dating, um, or like dating, actually, I never actually dated, but just going out, and meeting up with guys. Um, and regardless of how hot or attractive I found this person and how much I wanted to sleep with them, if I found out that they were in a relationship, I automatically assumed that it was a close monogamous relationship, and so I automatically, my brain flipped, right? It's like,
Hmm.
nope, we're not doing this. I'm not having the drama, not trying to deal with you, because at the same time I also was like hoping to find somebody to um, end up dating, end up marrying.
Right.
So I was like, okay, this is not the person. I just stopped and I just moved on. So this is one thing that I was thinking of during this story, specifically in this episode, was the previous episodes. It was easier to understand this kind of obsession that they have because they keep calling it love, right? And I, in my own thoughts, was like, I beg to differ. I don't think that this is, and if it is love, it is eros. It is not what I would call genuine love. I wouldn't. I mean, it doesn't even have to be agape. Like literally, just any sort of you're a you're a good person. I want the best for you and stuff like that. Or I want to be with you. I feel like this is really an obsession that he has. That's how it's being portrayed to me. At least that's
Yeah,
how I'm receiving it.
I agree.
And but they've made it span now in this specific episode at least 12 years.
Right.
Right? Which for me, I'm like, does that really happen? Like and when he was talking to the priest, that was the part that really just kind of it's just a very specific, it's a very personal thing. But I was like, he was like, I don't know how loving somebody could be a sin, which I totally agree with. But since I didn't see this this story now from this episode, I do not see the story as well. I always saw it as an obsession, but it doesn't mean the obsession can't turn into love. But I guess maybe this episode didn't really bring out the whole side of I'm actually in love with you sort of thing. From well, maybe I don't know because now that I think about it, like Hawk has been keeping tabs on Tim this entire time. Like, I feel like
Yeah.
from his side, Tim is maybe obsessed, but Hawk is literally in love with him. Like Hawk is doing all the things he should be doing for his wife. He's doing all the things for Tim that he should be doing for his wife. Like keep and his family keeping tabs on. He doesn't even know what his son is doing or why his son's angry, but oh, he
Yeah.
knows about Tim.
Yeah. I would say on the spectrum
Hmm.
of people he loves,
Hmm.
Tim is above his family.
Yes.
Now, does that mean he actually loves Tim?
Hmm.
I'm not sure I'm ready to say yes to that
Mm.
question. I think definitely Tim is above his family, which is his wife's issue,
Right.
right? Like we see now, like she's known
Hmm.
for some time. Like, look, this isn't the only game in town. You got other stuff you're doing.
Right.
Probably this dude,
Hmm.
but as long as we are first in line, I'm gonna
Hmm.
let it go. Once we're not,
Hmm.
that I cannot abide by, right? And when we
Right.
see, it's really never been his family as number one. It
No.
seems it's
Yeah.
been Tim as number one. Now,
Yeah.
does that mean Tim is in the spot of where I would say he loves Tim? I don't know. Like I don't know if he has enough selflessness in him to actually love someone.
Hmm.
That's what I'm curious about, right? Like, is he even capable of the thing we would consider love when he is obviously so very selfish?
You can still be. I feel like you can still be selfish in a negative way because I think there's a positive being selfish as well. But I think you can, and so for Hawk, I think he's being selfish in a very negative way. I think what I see in this episode is him. He's basically trying to juggle these two, right? He's really trying to have his cake and eat it too, and he doesn't realize he actually is failing. Both of them. To be honest, he's actually
Mm-hmm.
failing both of them.
Yeah.
But I do think that he is really trying to reconcile his actual love for Hawk, right? And the reason I guess maybe it's so blurry, the lines are blurry to me concerning um, Tim. Did I say Hawk?
Yeah,
Tim.
Tim. Yeah.
Yeah. The reason why I think the lines are so blurry to me with Tim because the way I guess he's written or something, it comes off more of like an obsession to me. Maybe it's because of all of the physical, uh, like the sex and stuff like that, which doesn't mean that it obviously it doesn't mean oh um it's not actual real love because it's maybe it's just sexual so he's obsessed or something like that um but I guess maybe it's just that I don't see Tim doing the things that Hawk is doing, right? Hawk is trying to protect him, right? But Tim is like running after this guy and then running away and stuff like that. I don't know. I don't know. There's
Yeah.
something in my head. I'm having an issue kind of reconciling the fact that Tim is in love with Hawk.
Well,
You
it's
know what I mean?
complicated because in many ways Hawk is unavailable. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
maybe.
Like
Yeah.
Hawk is like outwardly, I am absolutely not gay, and I'm
Mhm.
with this woman, and I'm, you know, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like Hawk is so firmly in this portrayal of himself
Yeah.
that it's like, how does Tim even approach that
Right.
like in a real way? He really can't. It's
Yeah.
only this really weird thing, right? Whereas Tim is not doesn't have all this facade.
Mhm.
So Hawk is able to access like the true Tim easier than Tim can access the true Hawk, if that
Yeah,
makes sense,
maybe.
right? So
Maybe that's
it's
true.
like he's left with this kind of obsession for this thing,
Mhm.
but he's actually never really even been able to see,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
Except for like their beach trip or whatever, where they kind of sometimes show them in a kind of loving way. But right,
Mhm.
most of the time we see them is either arguing or
Mhm.
like having sex. And
Right.
like
Yeah.
we don't see too much of them just being like a couple,
Yeah.
you know, like I don't know. So it's like
That might be. Yeah.
it's really hard, you know. I don't
Mhm.
know, but yeah, I
That's a good
just
point.
yeah, it is very interesting, just this whole idea of Hawk and his wife, and I just
I don't know. I just for me, I just feel sorry for them too. I mean, it's a show, right? But also, stuff like this happens. Otherwise, this would be a show, right? Like these things happen,
yeah,
you know. Um, and I just feel sorry for the people who are find themselves caught in those types of situations. If they don't, I recognize how little information I have about any given circumstance or situation, like when I'm trying to um apply for jobs, I'm totally against the whole send out your resume to a million different people and see, whatever. But to be honest, we don't have a lot of information on who you know the best places to actually send out your resume to have the highest chance of, it's just so much trial and error. And you still don't learn very much, from it. So in their situation, like, I can only imagine just being in that kind of dark situation and you just have no information. You have very little information, and you're not even in a society where you're allowed to talk with each other, you know? And that's
yeah,
actually funny too, because um, Hawk is gay. She doesn't know that, but if she was going to be able to talk to anybody, it would be with Hawk, right? Because he's not interested in her like that,
right,
right? So she, like, she would, if she was not like married to Emma, like if she understood this, he would be her gay best friend. You know what I
right,
mean?
yeah,
Like,
like and like that to me is part of like the sadness is like she was your friend for a
yeah,
long time,
right.
but yet you're kind of using her to prop up this portrayal of a life
hmm
to hide yourself,
Yeah.
right? Like,
hmm
and because of that, you're forced to hide yourself from her.
Yeah.
And so you're isolating yourself in a way that is possible. Again, we've mentioned before, like, she may have been okay with an arrangement,
Right.
an honest one.
hmm
You don't know. Which is
Right.
why I'm trying my best to stop trying to decipher and judge other people's marriages
hmm
when one of them obviously seems gay.
hmm
Because I'm like, you know that dude's gay, right? And I'm like, well, maybe they do know. Like, I don't know. Like, maybe they know, and that's what they decided to do. Like, I don't
hmm
know, right? And so it's very
Yeah.
easy to be like, bruh, like, why are you lying to her? Like, obviously,
Yeah.
like, you know, but like, I don't know. Maybe she knows, right? And
hmm
that's what they decided to do, and they're cool with it. Like, that's what they want to
Yeah.
do. I don't know, like that she is so intent on love that
Mhm.
she would have refused like this arrangement.
Right.
I don't know,
Yeah.
but that you took that from her, I think is somewhat unfair, especially given she's someone you obviously care about. I'm not saying you're in love with her, but you do care
Right.
about her. Like she's a
Yeah.
friend of yours. Like she's someone important to you. And
Yeah.
so to rob her of that choice,
Mhm.
because if she truly wanted love, I think if you cared about her, you would let her go get that.
Yeah.
You
I think
wouldn't
so.
block her from that for
Mhm.
like years. And now you've got kids and it's
Yeah.
complicated. And now she's kind of stuck. Like
Yeah.
what's she supposed to do now?
But that is that is the curse, because at the same time I do feel sorry for them, but like also I feel like she gave him so many windows of opportunity to be honest, and he shut them. He turned them down.
Yeah.
Most notably when she was talking about her brother,
Yeah.
right? That could have been a perfect point to be like, maybe we need to talk, But not only, and I was so angry with him because I'm like, her brother is hurting. You're close enough to him. Maybe he doesn't like you, but you're close enough to him to comfort him, and you don't because you're so intent on protecting yourself, which again I understand, but don't bring somebody else. This is where I have the issue is I understand, I do understand, but do not bring somebody else down, down with you, you know?
Yeah.
Like, they didn't deserve this. His brother or her brother is like fighting, trying to, he's thinking he's wrong or whatever. And you're basically saying, yes, you are. And which gives the impression I'm not, but you're the same as him, you
Yeah.
know? So if there's something wrong with him, then there is something wrong with you. Either way, help the man instead of
Yeah.
just throwing him under the bus. And so I mean,
Yeah.
yeah. But then also, like, I don't know. I don't know. I think this is why I feel like it's so well done. It's just because I've got all the emotions. Like, I'm just
I
like,
know.
you anger me, and yet I totally understand, and yet fuck this situation. Like, just
It's
I'm
crazy.
just all over the place.
Yeah,
I don't
because
know.
Hawk to me isn't only trying to protect himself.
Hmm.
He's trying to protect this specific version of himself with this
Right.
specific career and career track and notoriety and position and status.
Yeah.
Right? Like again, as we've said, like you don't have to have that.
Right.
And again, I think we'll see like with Marcus, right? Like you don't have to necessarily do this specific thing.
Right.
You can be you and be happy doing something else.
Hmm.
Not saying you got to deny yourself,
Right.
but like if you must be the whatever person at the Washington Post,
Hmm.
that's going to cost you this other
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah. But
And
that's
and it
a
seems like to
yeah.
him, ultimately, it becomes not that important to him. What's
Yeah.
more important to him is being himself and being with Frankie. And so he makes a different decision. Hawk, it seems like,
It's taking
never
longer.
makes that decision. His decision
Yeah.
is still, for some reason, I must maintain this
Yeah. He's
specific
digging his
persona.
heels in. Yeah.
And so, whatever
I,
it costs, I got to do that.
I think that's a very important point because, um, humans, they kind of, for the most part, unless you're like a dreamer, or visionary, or someone who is able to think outside of the box, most of the times humans are just going to go for the things that they know, right? The things that they've seen, the things that they, like, oh, I can make this amount of money, I'm going to go do that, and then that becomes their goal, when, to be honest, if the stars were aligned correctly, that wouldn't be what you actually would want. You just think that you want that because that's all you know, right? Or that's all you allow yourself to know or to think, right? So I think that's a good point. Like, if he would allow himself to realize that this isn't the only thing, right? Maybe he could do something similar or whatever it is that is might be attracting him there, whatever. Maybe he could do that, maybe even on a
Yeah.
grander scale, somewhere else that fits better into his, his scenario. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Oh, this just reminds me, like, I just remember, 'cause I told you before that, when I got fired from where I used to work,
Yeah,
like, that was so soul crushing,
yeah, hmm,
but it's probably one of the best things that ever happened to me at the same time.
yeah,
Right? Like, I did not need to be there for my ultimate mental and
yeah,
just like my well-being. It was not a good situation to be in,
yeah.
right? Like I'm so much more free not working in that environment,
Right,
right? And
precisely.
Hawk the same way. Like if Hawk were to
Yeah,
get fired,
hmm,
he would be so free,
right, yeah.
right? But like he's not able to himself quit,
Right,
right? Which is where
hmm,
kind of I was, right? Like it didn't occur to me to just leave. For
yeah,
many reasons, I felt like, you know, I would be able to make it somewhere else. I'm sure
yeah,
Hawk like has certain connections that he's built up with
yep,
his
hmm,
father-in-law, with different things where it's like this is very much where he is, and it's easier
yeah,
for him to excel because this is where he's been. To go
yep,
somewhere new is
hmm,
scary,
yeah,
right? Especially if you feel like to some degree you're there because of some other kind of outside influence, right? But like
yeah,
if he were to get fired and have to start from scratch, it
hmm,
would be so terrible and so
yeah,
wonderful for him
yep, yeah,
because he'd have all that baggage lifted.
yep,
He could be himself without
hmm,
fear of, again, and I remember this, like my personal life having a huge effect on my professional
yeah,
life.
yeah,
Those
hmm,
things being tied together
yep, hmm,
is not fun,
no,
right? When I know, hey, what I do on the weekend on Saturday night
hmm,
can affect greatly like my employment, it's
yeah,
just a lot of additional pressure on you,
yeah,
which once you
exactly,
are rid of that,
hmm,
it's a whole different world. You can think clearer. You can be like,
yeah,
hey, like, what do I actually believe? What do I actually
right,
want to do? Like, who
yeah,
who am I really?
yeah,
And so I really, not that he's not a real person, but like
right.
I wish for Hawk to be fired. you know, I'm like, man, like you would be so free from this bondage that you've put yourself into
Yeah,
if someone could just forcibly remove you from this and you have no
right,
other choice. But
yep,
you're so stuck, you don't know how to just leave it. And so you're
right,
going to continue it. And we see continue it
yeah,
way into the future
yeah,
to
definitely,
your own detriment, to what
yeah,
you really want. And not only hurting yourself,
hmm,
you're hurting your wife, your
yep, your
kids,
kids, yep,
all this stuff you're doing in your wake, causing all
hmm,
this damage because you refuse, not refuse, you're in some ways unable to see
yeah,
like another way. And it's
right,
it's it's very sad. It's very
yeah,
sad. And I'm
it is
I'm,
very
I'm somewhat
sad,
mad at him, but to
hmm,
a slight degree, I
hmm,
do have some sympathy for him, but
yeah,
mostly I'm mad.
yeah, yeah.
Just
I
because he's
mean,
so
yeah,
cocky about it.
he is very cocky about it, and I'm just, yeah. On another note, I was, we didn't see much of Marcus and Frankie this episode. I Marcus is showing a lot more. I guess maybe through the series, he's been showing a lot of strength. He has been kind of kicked back and scared a number of times, which totally makes sense. But I love the fact that they're giving him this, like, he seems like a real person. Like, he's trying to be strong, and then something comes and smacks him in the face, and then he recoils and he waits, and he's like, but then he confronts it, and he goes at it again or whatever. Like Frankie came to his house, he was all scared because his dad's there and whatever.
Hmm.
But then he went and talked to his dad, and he didn't say everything, but he said what he needed to say for him, you know and that's all that really matters when you're telling somebody, screw what they think.
Right.
It's about you, and if whether you can accept yourself.
Yeah.
And if he was able to do that in front of his dad, and he was like, no, I'm gonna go see Frankie. Did I say Marcus? Did I say
Yeah, you said great.
did I
And
say
I,
Marcus?
I'm
Okay,
curious what,
yeah.
what what you thought about not to be super morbid, right? But his
Mhm.
father seems to be up in age,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
Um, is it worth it, right?
Mhm.
To at this stage, right? Like we can't change the past. We can just start
Mhm.
from today.
Yeah.
Is it worth it from today to just tell your father everything, right? Or is it better just to let it be and let him go?
That is a very important topic. It's something that people in the
Yeah,
LGBTQ plus community
yeah,
discuss all the
because who are
time.
you doing it for,
Hmm.
right? What is your intention in telling him? You know.
Well, that really depends on the person, right? But if your intention is you're really close to your family and you want them to know, you can still consider that selfish because it is. We all act in selfish manners. Your parents act in selfish manners when they're raising you, teaching you these things. So it's all selfish. Um, but if you want, and that's usually what a child is wanting regardless of age. They just want to have that connection with their parents. And so if you're thinking, I want you to know this about me so that our connection, because, you were talking about it, about your friend who is hiding this, part from him. And you're like, if you would only tell me, we could be closer.
Mm-hmm.
That's the same situation, but even stronger because it's with the parent and the
Right.
child. And when that relationship breaks, it's harder than with friends. It's harder on the body, it's harder on the psyche, like you know and so you got somebody like, I want to tell you, I want to share with you who I am before you die. um Hopefully it'll bring us closer and stuff like that. That's usually the hope, but obviously everyone has different reasons you know why they would or would not tell them. But and I actually, to be honest, I don't even have any advice right now because I'm not sure.
It's tough.
Yeah, I'm not sure what I I know what I would do, but that is because it's me, right? I
Mm-hmm.
would tell anybody. I don't care if if I'm talking to you, I will say, I don't care who it is. I would say, my husband, even if I hadn't told you that, I'm gay, you're going to find out when you're talking to me, right? If you don't want to know, don't talk to me. That's just how I feel about it. But that's not how everybody's is, and that's not how they handle their relationships. You know, so I don't have any advice on that. I don't know if it's a good idea for him to tell his dad or not. That's really, I think maybe that's really just a personal thing. If you feel like you want him to die in peace,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know.
Because the fact that he doesn't yet know,
Hmm.
or at least you two have not discussed it. I don't know what
Right.
he knows,
Hmm. Yeah.
but he at least doesn't want to act like he knows.
Hmm.
That's
Yeah.
at least true.
Right. Yeah.
So the fact that you two are there, you know, do you feel like, hey, I want to, before he dies, for us to simply, for at least a moment, to truly see each other for
Right.
who we are,
Yeah.
right? Like, I want us
Hmm.
to be as close as possible
Right.
at the risk of it causing a rift.
Right.
But I want us to at least have the option
Hmm.
to have been as close as possible before he dies. Like, I feel like if that's your heart,
Hmm.
I feel like that's worth the risk. If it's like, hey, I'm tired of keeping this secret
Hmm.
and I feel like he needs to do X, Y, and Z, like I feel like
Hmm.
that's not the best mental space to be in
Yeah,
that moment, right?
that's probably true.
Like
Yeah.
I don't know if that's worth the risk of it, right? But if it's like, hey, look, like I know it's it's a more vulnerable place, but like, hey, look, like before he dies, I want him to know me
Hmm.
truly,
Yeah.
and if he accepts me, this would be wonderful. If not, it'll be crushing. But at
Hmm.
least I won't have to wonder if he would have accepted me or not.
Right.
If you
Yeah.
can accept that, if you'd rather have the fantasy of being able to like not know,
Hmm. But you know what's
you know?
also interesting is that a lot of people end up regretting not telling their family and
Right.
not letting them, make that decision for themselves of, if they wanted to. I would probably suggest in that type of scenario, you ask your parents, do you really want to know me? You know, and let them prepare it. Let them prepare it in their own minds if this is something that they want to hear. You
Ah,
know,
here's the other
but for
thing.
me, but well, hold
Yeah.
up, but for me, I have an issue with you assuming, not you, but the person I'm talking to. I have an issue with them assuming that I'm going to act like somebody else because of their beliefs or the way they think uh, things should be, right? So the way I'm going to talk to you and act, where I'm saying, I don't care if you want to know if I have a boyfriend or a husband or not, I'm going to tell you if that comes up, you know, um, I'm going to tell you is because I'm not living this life to please you. I'm living my life because it's my life, right? You are now a part of my life, and so now you're going to know this whether you want to know it or not, right? If you don't want to know it, then don't you're then you're not welcome into my life. That's how I feel about it because I'm not trying to play. I played long enough, I'm not trying to play your games, right? This is my life, if you want to, lie about your life and whatever, please feel free because it's your life, but I'm not going to do it to make you feel comfortable. That's how I feel about it.
Yeah. I'm curious what you think. Do you think because we see how Marcus has been living, right?
Yeah. Hmm.
He at least has accepted it in himself. Whether
Somewhat.
he's
Yeah.
whether he's open or not is debatable, but
Right. Yeah.
at least to some degree accepted it for them
Right.
to some degree. Do you think it's possible for someone to, despite your best efforts,
Hmm.
to be that close to you and actually not know?
I think this just boils down to what we were talking about before about Hawk's wife and stuff like that. If you don't want to know, you will not know. You will know because it's impossible that you didn't catch the signs.
And that's what I'm curious about, right? So like back to his father, right?
Hmm.
Like I feel like, not to generalize, but it's almost like if you don't know,
Hmm.
then you're not that close. And
No, I
then
don't
what
know if it's
and
you're
then what
not
does
that
that mean
close.
for like whether you should tell them or not? You know what I mean? Like it's
Oh
almost
well,
like,
maybe. Yeah.
like if he like Marcus is a man.
Hmm.
You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like it's not like he's like 10 or
Right.
12 or 13 or 15 or 18, right? Like
Hmm.
they've interacted for a long
Yeah.
time now,
Yeah.
right?
Hmm.
And again, maybe back then, yeah, as I mentioned, me being a kid, like maybe back then the option wasn't common enough to even enter your brain. I don't
Right.
know,
Yeah.
right? But
Hmm.
like, if after all these years he literally has no idea,
Right.
like how close are you really?
Right.
Is I
Well, you're
guess
not,
what I'm
but
thinking
that's the
about.
point. That's the point is
You
that you're
know?
not. And this is why I'm saying they would, gay people want to tell them because they want you. You'd ask them or something like that. Do you want to know me? Because I'm going to open up this door to you. You are going to see me for who I really am, right? And humans have multiple doors to open up outside of like sexual orientation. They have multiple doors. They can't open them all to the same person, right? But this is a huge one is your orientation because it depends on like if you're going to be masking or not, or acting or not, and
Hmm.
that is a very stressful situation. So you can't tell this person, do you want to see me? Because there's an entire part of me that you absolutely do not know, and I think if you want to get to know me better, you need to know this part of
So
me.
this is my question.
Hmm.
I'm curious.
Yeah.
If someone truly wants to know you,
Hmm.
do you think you can hide it from them?
No,
And
no.
I guess that's kind of what where my mind is going, like, right? Like, if his father was actually interested in him, right,
Mhm.
and truly wanted to know him,
Mhm.
could Marcus, even with his best ability,
Mhm.
actually hide it from him?
Yeah,
Is
no.
that even possible?
No. I don't think
And
so.
that's what I'm curious about, right? Like, if someone really wants to know you and you are in their space,
Mhm.
can you even deceive them to that
No.
degree?
Yeah, I no, there's no I don't see there that as being possible. Um, but it is possible that you want to know a person, but you don't allow yourself to be open to the answers, right? So you because you're expecting the answers, and this happens all the time, you're expecting these answers. Um, so you're not paying attention to the actual answers that you're receiving. You're not paying attention to them for however length of time until bam, you are forced to reconcile, come face to face with it. So I think that is possible, but uh I don't think if I think if you really want to know a thing about a person or something like that, and you really want to be close with this person, it is impossible to miss those indications. It is possible to ignore them, but
Right.
impossible to miss them. So
Yeah.
that's what I think.
Yeah, I was just thinking. I'm like, if I just think about different people and things. I'm like, if I was really in someone's personal space a lot,
Hmm.
right, and we
Yeah.
were very close friends,
Hmm.
could they actually trick me
Hmm.
into thinking they were other than what they were, one way or the other, right? I'm like,
Hmm.
I don't know. I feel like that'd be very difficult to do
Yeah.
with someone that you're actually close to.
Yeah. I
You
mean,
can
yeah.
try,
Yeah.
but they'd have to basically lie to you to act like you're being successful.
No, but even listen, this
Right?
is the
Like,
thing, and this is what's so funny about humans. Humans think that because I said it and because I act like this, it's true. That is not what's true, right? We all know that we have this ability to detect lies. They're like body language. It is body language, but it's also like other things. Like, we're talking about auras. Stuff changes when people are doing things that they shouldn't be doing.
oh
You
yeah,
know, like stuff changes. The way they do stuff.
oh yeah,
You recognize. You be like, it's about a bunch of things, and humans see these things, but they ignore them because they think, oh, they said it, so no, okay. Like, pay attention to these things. And the thing is, this makes me think of I read that book called The Reality of ESP, Extrasensory Perception, right? And it was written by this physicist or something like that. Actually, I forgot what he was now. It's been a while since I read that book. But in the book, because he was working with he was a professor working with the FBI about it, and they were doing tests with just random people, I think, or something like that, and these people were writing down. They were supposed to be focusing on one thing, right? But some of them were so like open, they would describe something else, not the thing that they were actually supposed to be focusing on, and so they would, you know, uh, so this was actually like places that they were doing. So they were supposed to be focusing on one thing, and the thing that they were describing. They didn't know what they were describing. They just were describing whatever was coming into their head, and they whatever. And those would be like top secret for the FBI, top secret like bases or places that like no human, no, I guess, citizen would know about, right? And so the guy who wrote this book, his analysis was that anything. Well, first he told the FBI this is kind of dangerous because this means nothing can be hidden from people, right? You can't hide anything from people, right? Because of their ability to perceive things that you think you've hidden so freaking well. And the thing is, and so his analysis was, which remains to be determined, obviously. But I guess not obviously, but I guess he didn't finish it. But his analysis was, the harder someone tries to hide it, the easier it is to see. Like, that's what he said, and that's what he wrote in the book. So yeah, I don't think, and I feel like there's, I feel like this is true. Um, for someone who is open and perceptive to the signals, or whatever that they're receiving, you know. So I feel like if you really want to know the person, it's almost impossible not to know. If that is your desire, it's almost impossible not to know. It is possible to ignore it. So,
Right. Yeah. Yeah, and I guess and that's where just think about some of these relationships, and when people close to them
mm-hmm,
like don't know
mm-hmm,
and are very surprised.
yeah,
It just makes you then question like the quality of the relationship like before that, right?
right,
Like
mm-hmm,
at the end of the day, you telling them, if they're like, "What?" That means
yeah,
it wasn't even important in the first place, right?
right,
So
yeah,
it's kind of weird, right? Like once you tell them that and they're like completely shocked,
mm-hmm,
that's the indication that
yeah,
like actually this wasn't as close as you thought it was. If they're like,
right,
"Oh, okay, I kind of had an idea,"
yeah,
then
mm-hmm,
okay, we were actually pretty close.
yeah,
If they're
mm-hmm,
like, "I am completely flabbergasted," like, well,
right, yeah,
then you didn't know me,
right,
right? Like at
exactly,
all.
yeah, yeah,
Like, because even though I was trying to hide it from you, you
mm-hmm,
should have seen it.
yeah,
Which
yeah.
is kind of an odd thing, but
I think that's true,
yeah,
and you do hear people be like, I saw the signs, blah blah blah. And that's what they do. They just choose to ignore it. But yeah,
yeah,
if you were truly shocked, you weren't paying attention. That's
right,
it.
yeah,
You
like
didn't.
like look, you told me X,
Mm-hmm.
so I took you at your word.
Right.
Now you're telling me B.
Mm-hmm.
Makes sense,
Yeah.
right?
And that's how
Which
I am.
which
I'm
I
just
told you,
like,
I was like, look, I mean, I wasn't gonna call you a liar before.
right. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know,
Right.
but
Precisely.
now you're saying
Exactly.
this. I'm like,
Hmm. Yeah.
okay,
Adds up. Right, precisely. And that's how I feel about it. That's why
makes
I'm like,
sense.
you said this, I will act like that is true.
Right. Like that's what you want to do. Like I'm
Right.
not gonna cause strife
Right.
because I want to force you to be something different.
Precisely. No, no, no. That's not my
Obviously
MO.
you don't trust me enough right now, and
Right,
so me
exactly.
forcing you isn't gonna fix that problem.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
So hey, whatever.
Yeah. I agree.
But yeah, it was an interesting episode. My last question for you is just thinking about, do you have any thoughts, predictions about the sun? So Hawk's son. So he doesn't seem we don't think it was a gay thing, right? That glance they shared and kind of what's going
Yeah,
on.
so yeah, I'm
Doesn't
thinking
seem
it
to
might
be.
not have been. It could have been, but it doesn't seem. Yeah, I
Um
think he's actually struggling with something.
right. So it was something, and it seems like one of his struggles is my mother is ignoring all of your lies.
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
I see her like ignoring it on purpose.
Right.
I see it
Mhm.
and I'm like, this is lies.
Right.
Like, what is like, why is she ignoring your lying? Why are you lying to her? Like,
Mhm.
is my life a lie?
Right.
And now I'm acting out because this is not a happy home.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
Mhm.
you're lying to each other. She's acting like she doesn't know you're lying. I know she knows.
Mhm.
Like what are y'all doing? Like, what is
Yeah.
this? That's how I
Mhm.
kind of view it. Like, he's just kind of frustrated. Like, my life is a lie. I don't like any of this. Y'all don't know me. I don't know you. Like,
Yeah, but I think he's the
what?
one who is probably seems to be the most sensitive in this situation. And so it would be easy to see how he could, they could portray him either, as gay, right? Because he seems to have the same, I think they're showing him having the same perceptions as his mom does. And I'm just making the whole link there because you know, they quite often it's like gay people are very attached to their moms, right? And so I that's the link that I'm making. That's it. Like, there's nothing else that's kind of explaining that. But it could be something else, right? But he seems to be the one that's more like his sister doesn't seem to be.
They didn't
She
show
is
her at
not
all. Like,
right.
forget what she feels. They didn't even
Right.
show her in the show. Like, they're like,
His sister, yeah,
sister who?
yeah,
I
they
mean,
did.
for a minute. I mean, like as far as the episode, like we didn't
Hmm.
really, like she wasn't
Oh yeah, no, she
consequential.
wasn't a no,
Yeah,
but it was important to see the difference between the two. She's over here playing with her dad, like everything is all happy go lucky, and he is feeling this burden, and he's thinking something's wrong with it. I'm thinking this is
right.
what crossed my mind when he said something's wrong with me. I'm like, yeah, he might be feeling things too much and not knowing how to handle them, you know? So I guess that would explain why he's dropping acid and, stealing stuff. He's really trying to get out of this headspace that he's finding himself plunged into, Um, but his dad ain't helping by not saying anything or asking questions. So like, he's probably just going to end up going deeper until like her brother, going deeper until gets caught up by the cops or something like that, or ends up
Yeah.
dead, sort of thing. So,
Yeah, because in many ways, like his parents are both playing characters.
hmm,
Like they're not actually people,
yeah,
right? Like
yeah,
his mom knows, and she's playing the doting wife.
right,
The father knows what he's doing. He's playing the loyal husband. Like they're both
yeah,
playing characters, and he's like, I see this.
yes, hmm,
I see you're both playing characters
yeah,
in a play. This isn't actually family. Like,
right, hmm,
what are we doing?
right, yeah, yeah,
Like, what
hmm,
is this? And I can see how that would be very frustrating, right?
yeah,
Like, not only are they playing characters, but they obviously also don't really see you
right,
either
exactly,
because they're
yeah,
too busy acting
yeah.
and
Hmm.
not actually being a family.
Yeah, and he wants to be, I think, authentic, right?
Yeah,
This is the only reason why he'd have a problem with that is because
right.
it doesn't make sense. He wants to be authentic. You shouldn't be lying. You shouldn't be lying. You know, I want to be able to talk to you and tell you who I am and how I feel and stuff like that. And they're not even available for him,
Yeah,
sort of thing. So he's clearly acting out. I don't want to go here. I don't want to do this, yelling at the table. They shouldn't, like, these are all clear indications he's going through something. No one cares. It makes sense that he's having issues. You know
yeah.
what I mean?
It's so hard
Mm,
just putting the parent hat on, right? Like it's so
mhm.
difficult to look past the behavior
Mhm.
because we're also human beings,
Mhm.
right? Like you slap me,
Mhm.
I'm not thinking, man, I really wonder what in your life caused you to. I'm like,
Right.
yo, I just got slapped. You know what I mean? Like, how
Yeah.
dare you
Right.
put your
Yeah.
hands on me, right? Like,
Mhm.
it's difficult to be like, pause. Why would a child slap an adult? That's
Mhm.
not normal behavior.
Right.
Something is going on with this person, right? Like,
Well,
and so
yeah.
being able to get to that point is
Mhm.
important.
Yeah.
It's just not the go-to human nature reaction to
Yeah.
someone doing that to you,
But
right?
that's not
Like,
what I'm talking about. Yeah, I agree. Like, if your child like hit you or bite you or something like that. I mean, I don't have kids, and because I am prone to slap the out of them. Like, what? Not me. I don't
yeah,
know who you. But then also, I know my brain. I'd be like, what would have caused them to do that? Like, why would? And then, but when I'm more calm
right.
and
That's
able to
that's the
listen,
thing, right? In the moment,
right?
you're like,
Not today, Satan. No, but like,
what?
but like, I would go to them and be like, why did you think that was a thing that you could have done and gotten away with? Like, what were you thinking? Sort of thing. And lead with open-ended questions so that they could feel that they would have to express themselves, So, but yeah, that takes. I ain't having kids. No, 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 no. I don't have that patience. They would call CPS
Not
on me in a
for the faint of
heartbeat.
heart.
No, it ain't. And I mean, I don't have the faint. I'm not a faint of heart. Maybe I am. Maybe because I'm just like, nah, Jesus. If you love them kids, you keep them away from me. Yeah. So, anyways.
Yeah. I'll just
So,
say, just a quick aside, like
yeah.
just to that point, like it's funny. There's so many things that I know we have mental blocks. Like I could never do X.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but then when you're presented with X,
Mm-hmm.
you can.
Well, you got to deal
And
with
you
it.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and
Mm-hmm.
you are able to do it. Like stuff you like, I could never go through this thing. Like, I don't know
Mm-hmm.
what I would do, but then you go through it and you're like, I'm doing it. Like it's,
Yeah.
like you find there's things about yourself you didn't know, or you pull on other people or whatever it is. But it's like, it's
Mm-hmm.
just amazing the things we can do
Mm-hmm.
that is difficult to imagine us being able to do when we're outside of it.
Yeah, but
Like
it's also about a desire to do it or not to do it. So, like, if you have to do it, so like for example, um, like if something happened and then my nephew, well, he's passed now, but if at the time something happened to my nephew, like everyone passed that was taking care of him, I don't want kids, but I take care of my nephew. You know what I mean? Like I would do that. Um, but I'd be like, I wouldn't want to. And so I'm wondering if that would translate to me being a good parent or me being an okay parent just simply because I don't want to, but I have to. You know what I mean? So like, sometimes you are forced to do something that you don't particularly want to do for the good of whomever else or whatever. And maybe you thought you did an excellent job, or maybe you thought you did a mediocre job. I don't know. Um, whenever I'm forced to like when I was like as a kid, read a book or do something or whatever, I find that the work that I put into it, yeah, I could do it, got done, but the work I put into it was subpar, you know, because I had no passion about it, you know.
yeah.
And with the kids, everyone tells you you have kids, you learn patience. Yeah, but I don't know if I learn enough patience. I have that little patience that I don't know
Yeah.
if I would learn enough to make that actually not just work, but actually excel. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah.
You guys think back to different things I've done, whether it's like either like public speaking or just different things that on the front end, looking forward 10 years, I would never think I would have even agreed to do these things, but just
Mhm.
actually do them, right?
Mm. Mhm.
Looking back 10 years, like, wow, like I did all these things that
Mm.
I didn't even think were even in me to do,
Yeah.
much less do well,
Yeah.
right? But like until I'm presented with the thing,
Mhm.
I don't really know what I'm actually made of, right? Like
Right.
I view myself one way, which it was one thing. Like as much as we know ourselves, sometimes we don't, and
Yes,
until we're put
because we're always
in
learning.
until we're put in the thing
Mhm.
and actually confronted with it, then we
Mhm.
learn, hey, like, oh, it was difficult, right?
Mhm.
It wasn't super
Yeah.
comfortable, but yo, like I did that thing.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
Mhm.
hey, maybe I am good at this thing. Like
But then that's the
maybe I
question.
can.
Would you come out of that thinking, "Oh, I would like to do it again," or, whatever?
Yeah. I
You
mean,
know?
at the very least, you come out of it with the perspective of, hey,
I rock
I
this.
thought I couldn't do this thing, and
Right.
I did this thing.
Mm. Mhm.
So there's got to be other things
Right.
like this, right? Whether I do
Mhm.
this thing again or not, who knows? But hey, guess what? I can do stuff that I thought I couldn't do.
Yeah.
Hey,
Hey, listen.
let me push forward. Well, look,
Yeah.
I think we've hit 60 minutes.
We have, and I was like, "This is the longest review we've
What?
ever done."
Oh my. and most of it was like blah 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 blah. It's all good though. Hey,
Listen,
look, folks, we appreciate you watching, listening, viewing, commenting,
yeah.
subscribing,
We didn't
liking,
even rank the show. Wait, rate the
sharing.
show. Rate the episode. Rate the
Episode. All right,
episode.
I'm gonna put it somewhere. I'm gonna say it kept my attention.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of good discussion. You may not like this.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna say 8. I feel like 8.
You know what I want to
Okay.
do, and I just thought about this. What I want to do is I want us to put our choices up, right? Make our choices, put them up so that the audience can see somehow, but we can't, and then tell what we're going to say. Because I know that people are probably like thinking, "Oh, they just said that because the other person said that." But I was thinking
No.
I would definitely give it an 8. Like I was thinking, the last few episodes I think were 10, but something about this episode just wasn't
Yeah.
at that level. And I was thinking 9 maybe, but I was like, no, I still don't feel there. And so I was also thinking 8. Like I just felt that.
Yeah.
And I was like, if this boy says 8 and you say and
Yeah,
I was like, no, we gotta.
It was a good episode,
Yeah.
but it wasn't super impactful.
Mhm.
Like I don't know. It didn't really hit me. Like it was
Mhm.
good,
Yeah.
but it didn't
Yeah.
get me. So
Yeah. There was
that's not
there
a
was
dig.
something
Like
about
8
it.
8 isn't bad.
No, it's not bad. No,
8's
no,
not
no.
bad.
No.
8 is good. This is a true 8. This is not a Percy Jackson 8.
You were just not gonna let that go.
Never let it go. And if you don't know, go back and watch our Percy Jackson episodes and you will understand what it is
Oh my
we are
goodness.
talking about.
Yeah. Yeah, okay, 8. I'm good.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Yes.
All
yes.
right. Well, yeah. Like and subscribe, comment, join the Patreon. This will be the YouTube will have the full episode, full episode. So enjoy an hour and 2 minutes long. So,
What have we done?
and if you think this is long,
boy, oh boy,
you ain't seen nothing yet. Patreon.
nothing yet.
So yeah.
All
Is
right.
that all?
Well, I think that's it.
Yep.
See you next time.
Ciao.
Later.